What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back here with another fantasy football video. Today, I am talking about the players I am buying low on and selling high on as far as fantasy football trades. We all know that week one sticks in fantasy football owners' heads, and they get an idea of who they have on their team. I would like to strike on some of these guys who might have had a rough performance week one, but remember, stay the course. Week one does not determine your season by any means, but there are some important takeaways. I'm going to clue you guys into those so that you can take advantage of these guys, trade for them before they go on monster runs and just start scoring tons of fantasy points and winning you your league. So let's talk about the first one. This one I really think, I thought at first, about not even bringing him up, but I think there's a real chance you might be able to trade for this guy coming off this bad performance. I own him in this particular league, but it's Saquon Barkley. We see that he still had 12 carries this last week, but they just got absolutely blown out by the Dallas Cowboys. But the Dallas Cowboys have an excellent defense just in general. Saquon will bounce back. He's going to have productive weeks, and I'd like to get him before he plays the Arizona Cardinals this week. I think he's due for a big game, big performance. Dallas Cowboys just exposed their offensive line. I'm not going to lie, I don't think it'll be great next time they play. Philadelphia Eagles games, some games like that might be rough too, but Saquon, the nice thing is he has that explosive ability. He can have one run in some of those tougher matchups that can make up that, and he's still going to be more, they're talking about getting him more involved in the passing game. I really like that as far as for his upside moving forward. Next guy I would be buying low on, this one's an obvious one, played in a bad weather game. Higgins had a 0, didn't do anything, but you still see 8 targets this last week. I'll invest in that. There's some owners out there that are probably just really frustrated with it, and I am very, very confident that he is going to bounce back. Not super high on Higgins season long, but that's what I'm saying. If you can buy low on him, and I should talk about what buying low on a player means. For Higgins, for example, I might try to acquire him, maybe trade a Kenneth Gainwell and a Drake London or something like that. Throw out trades like that, maybe even a little bit better, to try to see if you can buy low on this guy because somebody has a poor opinion of him based on their early season performance, doesn't think he'll be as involved, thinks Burrow might be worse because of the calf injury. There's narratives out there, but I am all in on Higgins. I think he'll have very productive fantasy points, be a nice wide receiver 2 on your team, or wide receiver 1 if you're really needy. Let's talk about another guy. This guy I think will come on as the season progresses. Jamarr Gibbs just looked electric with the ball in his hands. Only had 7 carries, only had 2 receptions, but he had 9 touches in week 1. I think he'll get more involved as the season goes on. So let's say he has 12 this next week. Then all of a sudden you're looking at 12-plus touches right around there every week moving forward. I think that's enough for Jamarr Gibbs to be successful for fantasy. He had 7 points this last week, and he slipped on a play where he most likely would have scored a touchdown. He would have been fine then. He's an extremely explosive player. He's going to be utilized in the passing game moving forward. I have belief in that. He just looks really good. And David Montgomery, who I'm going to talk about later in this video, 21 carries in week 1. I think things are going to change moving forward, and I think if you buy Jamarr Gibbs now, he's a fantasy asset that's just going to continue to get more valuable as the season progresses. So he's a stock that I want to buy now. Another guy I'll throw out there, Ramondre Stevenson. I really like Ramondre moving forward the rest of the season. You can see I own him in this league as well. Liked him for a while, but if we look at this, sure, Zeke was utilized in this game, but really very unproductive. He had 12 carries, but against a tough Philly defense, didn't do much with him. But 6 receptions, 64 yards. Zeke caught a good amount of passes. I think more of that will go to Ramondre moving forward. But even if he has 6, he'll be fine at that level, and he's been productive. We saw him catch a ton of passes last year. If he does that and this offense is better, he is easily going to be a top 10 running back this season. And I think you can buy, relatively low on him. Obviously, he's still a stud asset, but you can buy him, be that RB1 or RB2 anchor that's going to give you consistent points that you can depend on moving forward. I'd love to see if I could move. We'll talk about some pieces you might be potentially able to move to get a Ramondre Stevenson at the end of this video. One guy I'll touch on as my last buy low. This one comes with a little bit of an asterisk. Christian Watson. In this league, what I would basically do if I am targeting him, I don't know if he is going to play this week. He's got a hamstring injury. I think there's a real chance that he might miss another game. If he does miss, obviously I would probably try to not trade for him or try to trade and even try to buy really low on him, see if the owner is desperate. But if Jordan Love is good with the type of, and he looked good on Sunday, with the type of talent that Christian Watson has displayed thus far in the NFL, and if Jordan Love takes that next step and is a top 15 quarterback somewhere in that range, Christian Watson can be a wide receiver one, a wide receiver league winner. He's in my wide receiver league winners video. So is Calvin Ridley, who we've seen play very well thus far. But Christian Watson, a guy I would look to trade for, buy extremely low on, with him maybe missing another game. Let's say you're 1-0 or something, but you need some wide receiver help. See if you can buy low on this guy. He could change your roster when he suits up for fantasy football. Okay, now let's talk about some guys, some players that you can trade for. Some of these guys, some of these buy low players I was just talking about. So let's talk about the running backs. We talked a bunch of them. So Saquon Barkley, if I could trade, let's say an Aaron Jones off of that big performance into a Saquon Barkley level player, I would love to do that. It's not that I dislike Aaron Jones, but that's a definite upgrade. Let me think of another one. If I could potentially take like a Najee Harris or even a Joe Mixon, attach him with another asset and get a Saquon, that's a type of deal I would be all about. Let's look at something for Ramondre Stevenson. If I could take a Kenneth Walker and a piece and get a Ramondre, I would do that. I would love something like that. Dameon Pierce, same boat. If I could take one of them, swap them with maybe some wide receiver who's somewhat of a throw-in, but somebody who has some upside, somebody might be interested in, and get myself Ramondre Stevenson. I review Ramondre Stevenson up here in these 14-point per game backs this season. And then let's talk about some of the wide receivers as well. Talked about T. Higgins. Him and Watson were the wide receivers on the list. So let's talk about somebody you could target and get a T. Higgins with. If you could trade Mike Evans off that hot week, take Mike Evans and somebody else for Christian Watson or T. Higgins, I think that would be a great deal. Another guy I would buy low on, didn't talk about him yet. I own him in this league as well, but Mike Williams. Obviously, he was knocked out of this last contest. Kind of had missed a big chunk of snaps, but they've talked about that they're going to throw the ball down the field. They've run a high-paced scheme. They've run a lot. They're going to throw the ball a lot this season. I think a lot of this stuff spells Mike Williams' way. He's a guy I would definitely be buying low on. He's another guy I think could be a wide receiver one this year, and you could buy really low on him. So if you're a wide receiver needy team, I would take a look his way. If I could do Mike Evans for Mike Williams, I would do that in a heartbeat, something like that. Might be a little bit tougher to get done, but I'd offer multiple pieces. If I take a Michael Pittman, he's going to be in the sell high. About to touch on all those guys in a second. But if I could do something like that, Michael Pittman, get myself into a Mike Williams with another piece, I would love to do something like that. Now let's talk about our sell high players. First up, I kind of hinted at him, David Montgomery. Now, it's not that I hate David Montgomery. I just think he'll be less involved as the season progresses. I think he'll still have a role. I think he's got a good chance of scoring a lot of touchdowns. So we see 3.5 yards per attempt with a Chris Jones, with Chris Jones out for the Kansas City Chiefs. Just kind of an uninspiring. I think there will be better days to come for him on his efficiency basis. I think he'll be closer to 4.5 at least this year. They have a good offensive line. He is a hard-nosed runner, but I don't think he'll post a lot of those 21 carry weeks after week 5, anything like that. I think he'll be more and more the Jamarr Gibbs show. So if I could sell him and get myself into somebody a little bit more stable, I would love to do something like that. Another guy I would talk about as a sell high, and I like this guy season long. A lot of these guys I like, but it's just, can you capitalize on them and get an elite prospect? Like, hey, I try to Brandon Aiyuk and somehow get a Chris Olave or somebody like that. I would do it. But I think Brandon Aiyuk is going to be a solid, top 20 wide receiver this year, maybe top 15. But 8 targets, caught all 8 balls, 129 yards. There's just a lot of target competition on this team with Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel. I don't know if he's going to be the most consistent producer. Wide receivers really aren't, but if I could capitalize on him and get myself into elite option, I would. Another name, touched on him, Michael Pittman Jr., another guy. And again, I don't mind Michael Pittman Jr. If I draft him and I can't, capitalize on his performance thus far, I'll hold him. I'll be fine with it. because of this number right here, 11 targets. Even if Richardson is playing, he looked solid throwing the ball, better than I expected. Even if he's not great, but you're giving 11 targets, that you should be good. But I just do expect him to be up and down. Richardson's raw as a rookie quarterback. Statistically, rookie quarterbacks don't often support elite pass catchers, but he is the one there. And so if you can trade him into an elite option, like I said, I would enjoy that if I could. Another guy, you might still be able to get something for him because he's young. Drake London. The passing volume is just so low in Atlanta. I think he had one target. Yeah, one target, 0 receptions. I would move on from this guy. He's not exactly a sell high, but he still has a good name. If you can get, into a similar tier player, maybe trade him in a piece, a running back or something, and get yourself a T. Higgins. I would love to do something like that, swap underperforming players. Add in, and you'd have to add a nice piece if you want to get T. Higgins with London, but you're always trying with these buy low, sell highs to kind of capitalize on some things. Another guy I'll throw out there, Javonte Williams. Not that I don't dislike Javonte. He got a lot of work this last week. It's just I don't expect him to be super efficient this year. 13 for 52 for 4 yards, 4 receptions, only 5 yards. He's going to be utilized, so there's, he has obviously upside there. Volume is king in fantasy football. The only thing I worry about is coming off this knee injury. How productive is he going to be? I don't think this offense is going to be very good in general. If I can move him, if I could take Drake London and Javonte Williams, turn them into T. Higgins, I would do that all day long. That's a trade that I would really like. If you guys have any trade ideas you want to run past me, anything like that, leave them in the comment section down below. I'll respond to all comments. Please hit that subscribe button. Post a ton of season-long content you'll want to see. Win that fantasy football championship, capitalize on some of these ideas. I think a lot of this stuff, too, as we go on, week 2 or 3, that's when you can really get some better buy low opportunities on some guys who have underperformed, but we have every reason to believe that they will perform as the season progresses. So stick around, hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Fantasy Joe. I'll see you guys next time.